Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest episode of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. It is episode 217. I'm your host, Nate Maxon, and I'm, of course, joined by my brother, Aaron, Mr. Mark Brew,
What's up?
and no Senor Archie Mitchell this week. He is having some gabagool at a gala right now, so no Archie this week, but we'll be having fun. But he will be back next week to join us as we continue our rolling through the PWI 500 from the year 1994. This is really fun. I've had this is like I always, there's just certain things I love doing, and this is one of them. The Hall of Fame, this deal, these are kind of my favorite things.
And the Hall of Shame.
And the Hall of
That's
Shame, yes.
But that's
the
where
Hall of
Aaron
Shame,
really shines.
yes, I was going to say that's more Aaron's wheelhouse than mine. But
and then also on my I consider this one of my jobs just because we show up and we do the work, but the job I get paid for, I start vacation on Friday, so I'm gonna have a lot of downtime. So guess what I'm gonna start working on?
Oh, more trivia?
Trivia 2. Yep,
Oh, snap.
the plan.
trivia
Not going.
Trivia with a vengeance. Yeah.
Yes, I'm not going anywhere, so I'm gonna be at the house. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna work on my trivia shit.
Well, we are going to continue again, like I said, with the PWI 500 from 1994. Last week we left off 385 was Brad Riggins. We had a discussion about him. So this week we will roll into number 384. It is Mike Golden, 6'2", 251 pounds, 8 years pro. Veteran grappler, is the current NGWA TV champ, always accompanied to the ring by valet Lady Fantasy. Involved in Georgia's hottest independent feud with T.A. Golden. Mike Golden.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the hottest feud.
Now, just to be fair, they did only say it was Georgia's hottest independent feud. So maybe in Georgia and the independent scene in 1994.
Possibly.
I mean, if you've seen some of the independent wrestlers around here, it doesn't take much to be hotter than them.
Number 383 is Lou Perez, 6 foot, 223, 8 years pro, brother of Al Perez, technically outstanding, former Pro Wrestling Federation light heavyweight champion, stars on independent circuit in the South, especially Florida. Lou Perez. I don't know. I don't really either. I know that I remember seeing him in magazines. I remember seeing Lou Perez, brother of Al Perez. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't even know if Lou Perez and Al Perez are actually brothers. So,
all right,
Well, I mean, I think they probably are. Because like, if you were gonna pick a guy to be somebody's brother, like I'm gonna make myself this guy's brother. Why would you choose Al Perez unless it was chosen for you?
Yeah, like I understand Ricky Santana or Vic Steamboat.
Yeah, like I'm gonna pick a guy that never. I want to get in the business and I want to attach myself to somebody. So I'm going to pick a guy that never made his full potential and a lot of people don't like.
Definitely not a wise resource.
Al Perez, the guy that was like, we're going to make you the Black Scorpion and we're going to put you in a feud with the biggest star in our company. And eventually you're going to have to take the mask off. Yeah. I'm gonna get the belt, right? Like, no, you're gonna lose. Oh, I'm not gonna do that then.
Fucking idiot.
Like nobody knows who you are, you fucking idiot. The
biggest thing. Oh, this goes back to our chat from the other night. But the biggest thing I ever remember in my life about Al Perez is Gary Hart. This is my Latin Al Perez.
Like
I got my Latin Al Perez and I got my big black Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah, if that dude would have been smart, he would have like if that I'm not saying the Black Scorpion gimmick was great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that gimmick, even losing, was all about you're gonna be a bigger star once you take the mask off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're gonna lose, we're gonna take the mask off, but then we can even extend that feud even longer.
Right.
Like that was probably the plan. But anyway, we're not talking
I mean,
about Al. We're talking
it
about
would have.
Lou.
It's kind of like the equivalent of if. And I know he didn't reveal the story is he didn't reveal the gimmick to him until he said yes, but it'd be like DiBiase going and Vince saying, you know, I've got this gimmick for you, and DiBiase going, it's not gonna work for me. You know, like you just passed up on one of the best things. And I'm not saying whatever Al Perez would have done is one of the best things ever, but I see what you're saying. Like take the chance.
For him,
be in the main
his career
event.
yeah, for him, his career would have been totally different. Like he probably would have got some traction out of it. He was a big, good-looking guy. He probably maybe wound up working for Vince. But yeah, just to be like, what? Nobody knows who I am, and I got to put the champion over? This is bullshit. Anyway.
I'll stay on the undercard. I don't care.
Yeah. And I'm going to fade into obscurity. Number 381 is Carl Pope. That's Carl with a K. 6 foot 230, 3 years pro. Often teams with younger brother Jim in Championship Wrestling USA. Smart, tough competitor, superlative moonsault, fundamentally sound, rising star in the Pacific Northwest region. There's a picture here of Carl Pope. I don't know you. I don't know him.
Oh, when you said Pope, I thought you meant that guy that rides around in that little car with the glass and stuff.
Yeah, he's at a Pope. He's at a Pope.
Kiss the ring, bitch.
Kiss the ring. A Pepe the Pope. Fucking Craig Ferguson. A Pepe the Pope. Number 380 is Johnny Paradise. 6'1". What a wrestling name. 6'1", 251, 6 years pro, formerly known as Chris Hahn. Currently the Western Ohio Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. Also competes in Michigan-based Midwest Territorial Wrestling, where he's guided by handsome Johnny Bradford, wrestling's only deaf manager.
I remember the deaf manager. I remember him, but I don't remember any of the people because he was in magazine. Like he was never like I think he was in PWI once, but he was always in those magazines like Wrestling World.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't ever the After mags, but it was always like the ones you could get at like
the off-brand
book. Yeah, Read More Bookstore and shit like that. The I remember
instead of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, it was Illustrated Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. And you find all kinds of just like fucked up edits and like it'd be like a picture of Triple H, but it'd say it was The Rock. It's like what the hell? I remember one of those magazines. They were covering the feud between Henry Godwinn and Triple H, and the actual on the cover said Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Henry O. Godwinn roll around in pig shit. Just sitting right on the front of the magazine. I'm like, really? But anyway. I was just saying, I remember the deaf manager, and I'm assuming this guy has has every gimmick. Like a 1992 DDP.
Yeah.
Got the hat, the vest, the
boa,
the boa, the stogie. He's got all of it.
Comes out to Rock of Ages.
Or 2 tickets to Paradise. Like he's that hacky. He's that hacky. Like he's not even creative enough. Fucking hack. I don't know this guy, but he's a fucking hack. I like his manager though. I like the idea of a deaf manager.
How's he gonna know when to call for help?
Well, I'm just saying. No, he could keep cheating, and the referee could be like, "You're ignoring my orders," and he's like, "I
can't hear you." I know. I'm sure he did it too. I'm sure he did it.
Yeah. Like the referee's like, "What are you, deaf?" And everybody's like, "Boo!"
Boo! I like the idea of just everybody just once like, "Boo!"
Really is.
Did you guys Speaking of which, this is very, very fast because we're not talking about, but while we're thinking about the fans doing something, Aaron, did you watch Elimination Chamber?
I have not yet.
Okay. Mark, did you watch it?
Indeed, I did.
Aaron, this won't spoil anything, but Mark, do you remember during the tag title match at one point after they were doing the thing where they threw Dominic out, the referee threw him out, and the screen went black for like 30 seconds?
Yeah.
That was not a technical thing. Do you know why it happened?
Why?
Peacock did it because every single person that was in the camera shot was flipping Dominic off at once. So they blacked it out. But I was like, that's heat, pal. Anyway. Now, why they black it out, I don't understand why they block that shit out in WWE. I can go watch a movie on Peacock and all the swear words are in there. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Number 379.
They treat wrestling different.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
379, Max Thrasher, 6 foot, 256,
Yeah.
7 years pro. This two-time former ACW champion is still as vicious as ever. Also a former AWF and MEWF title holder. Feuded years ago with another former bounty hunter, Bam Bam Bigelow. Max Thrasher. We saw Max Thrasher on the early days of ECW.
He said MEWF. It's Moof.
Moof.
Well, it's kind of like what Shane said about Hulk Hogan in XPW. I know we saw him in ECW a while ago. You suck then, and you suck now.
And you suck
This
now.
guy's
You know anything about Max Thrasher, Mark? Any memories of Max Thrasher? What the fuck?
Yeah, totally. He was my favorite.
He was my hero.
No, not right offhand. The
I'm not
name sounds
surprised.
familiar, but when I hear Thrasher, I immediately think the Headbangers.
Well, the next two names are going to be names that are definitely going to get a thumbs up to. Number 378 is Louis Spicolli, 5'10", 248, 5 years pro. Billed as Madonna's boyfriend, enters the ring to her song Vogue. Tough American wrestler who regularly competes on Mexican AAA cards, often teams with Diamond Dallas Page. Louis Spicolli, one of those guys that I don't know what his career would have been. I'm sure Louis Spicolli was never going to main event a WrestleMania. But Louis Spicolli could have had a mid-card role for many years in pro wrestling. He was really, really good. He just, man, his demons got him.
He would have never got back. He would have never got back to Vince, but he would have made. If he would have lived, I think he would have had a different career in WCW. But I just remember that he was because he was buddies with Chris and Tammy.
Yeah.
And I heard one time that he was on the road with them, even though he wasn't working for Vince, because they were like in their area. And he was in the car with Tammy and Chris and Vince McMahon, like they were all on the same road or whatever, and they passed Chris and Tammy, and Vince saw Louis was in the car with Chris and Tammy, and I guess looked at somebody in the car and was like, "We didn't hire back that Dirty drug head again, did we?
Jesus.
Like he hated Louis.
When the story gets to Vince and it's that strong, that also means because a lot of things didn't make it to Vince. So that also means that there was probably other people like Pat and stuff in the locker or in the upper echelon that also didn't like Louis.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of stuff like that, especially for mid-card guys, those stories never reached Vince at that point.
Yeah, just everything I've heard, Vince just didn't like him.
Well, I mean, minus the druggie, that was being the drug head part. That was the pot calling the fucking kettle black, wasn't it? Call somebody dirty and you're over here shitting on people.
I was going to say, everything we know now. But yeah, Spicolli, like I said, I actually enjoyed his AAA stuff. The Madonna's boyfriend thing was fun. He was for being kind of like he wasn't fat, but for being kind of like portly. Is that what you'd call his frame? Was he portly?
He was one step under Meanie.
Oof.
No, I wouldn't go that. No.
I'm saying he's a level before Meanie.
No, he's like right before he had to retire Art Anderson.
He's a little rotund, but anyway, he was a good bumper. He was and I like I said, I think he could have been an effective mid carder for, like you said, Aaron. Probably not the Fed, but for WCW or even ECW for many years. And just he passed away in '97, but here in '94, he's still doing the AAA thing. And that was probably my favorite Louis Spicolli stuff. 377. I know everybody here. Oh, go ahead.
He did some like jobbers. He did some jobs in WWE, didn't he?
Well, yeah, and he also wrestled as Radford.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah,
Like
he did jobs in WWF in like 94, 95 too, before he even became Radford.
Yeah, it was like that was the era, like him and D'Lo and Rhino. Yeah.
I know everybody present here is a fan of number 377, Chick Donovan, popular veteran in various Georgia independent federations. Also spent a stint in World Class before moving to the Peach State. Powerful, muscular competitor, is fundamentally sound. I like Chick Donovan.
I love Chick Donovan.
Big Michael Landon hair.
He's got the best fucking hair and in the business, and he still competes in the ring.
Aaron and I got to meet him. It was Big Pimp, and we didn't even know he was going to be there. Motherfucker was dressed in gold, head to toe.
Surrounded by like 3 black dudes dressed like pimps. And like we walked in and I looked at Nate and I was like, I think that's Chick Donovan. And I was like, I know that's Chick Donovan. Like he just showed up. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, Chick Donovan showed up and was like, give me a table or my associates will take care of you.
Yeah. He was the Don of the Indies.
It was very cool to meet him. And again, like I said, I mean, he's one of those guys that he never got the big push, but he was always there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Rip Rogers.
I put it like this. I got to listen to him talk and stuff in person about in ring work and stuff, and dude's just a learning tree.
I would assume so. I mean, he worked everywhere with everybody.
Yeah, Portland and damn all over.
Portland,
World Class. That look, though.
Yeah, Portland, World Class, Florida, Georgia. He worked in WCW. I don't know if did he ever do any jobs in WWF? I don't remember.
I'm sure he probably did.
But definitely everywhere but.
Right.
And he probably did, and I probably just don't remember it, but
all right. I'll get my Mike Tenay on for that one.
All right. Number 376, Terry Embry, 5'9", 225, 10 years pro. No. He's not related to Eric. Champion of Kentucky-based Southern Wrestling Alliance, known as Mr. Irresistible, intense rivalry with Dutch Mantel, has a new move, the Irresistible Bomb.
And Chick actually did.
I figured he probably did.
Oh, there's no way he didn't.
He actually went against Bulldog on the Wrestling Challenge from March 19th, 95.
All right. I don't know anything about this Terry Embry dude.
Fuck him.
375 is a man named
Festus.
He's
no Chick Donovan.
Yeah, he's no Chick Donovan. 375 is a guy named Festus, not the Festus that we remember, but not what's his name. But anyway,
this is the Alabama version.
Let's see. Well, close enough. North Georgia. Festus, 5'10",
Yeah.
220, 16 years pro, returns to ratings after a 1 year absence, has held all North Georgia titles over a lengthy career, absolutely no scientific skills, but fans love him anyway, regularly on Federation telecasts. Assuming he's probably just, they're the Georgia Independent at the time's Hillbilly Jim kind of character, I assume.
Yeah, he's a dumpy fuck. Probably works at the Jiffy Lube on his fucking weekends and
Or delivers milk so everybody knows him, so they show up.
But the kids love him.
yeah. But I guarantee he's dumpy.
Speaking,
I love Aaron's description. Yeah, he's some dumpy fuck.
Hey, I mean that's probably what he is.
At this point, speaking of dumpy, 374 is Buddy Rose, 6 foot, 399 pounds, 21 years pro. The Playboy remains popular in Pacific Northwest despite added age and weight. Was a favorite of figure skater Tanya Harding in her youth. Held the AWA tag team title with Doug Summers in 1987. Buddy Rose.
Nate goes, what?
So I just don't understand why that's a factoid on this. But he, Buddy Rose, man, Buddy Rose Portland, Buddy Rose AWA. I mean, by this time in 94, I mean, he's just gone. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
right.
In his Portland days and then the AWA, what a fucking worker.
and really good promo and just and an example of if at least he can say that he got to the WWE, you know what I mean? And he embraced that stupid fucking gimmick and probably made for that little period of time probably made more money than he ever made in the wrestling business.
Probably, yeah.
But doing the blowaway diet. I just love the fact that he blew away the fat and they showed the fat and before and after he looked exactly the same.
Yes, he's got that stupid grin on his face. But yeah, like I said, it is funny shit. And him and Doug Summers are an underrated tag team through history. I know that there are people like us that watch a lot of wrestling or watch a lot of the old stuff that will put them over. But I think when you look at, because we're getting to that point in time where a lot of the people that are talking, a lot of the people that are writing articles for wrestling, whatever, and I don't look at a lot of wrestling sites or Facebook pages or anything because they're usually bullshit, but that is what people consume now. And a lot of the people that are writing and talking about quote unquote the history of wrestling at this point have a perspective going back to probably about 1990.
Right.
And there are just things that there are things that in that conversation about wrestling history that are getting lost to time at this point. And I think Summers and Rose is one of those things that as time goes on, they're going to be forgotten about. And
it's central. It's not entirely their fault either, Nate. It's kind of like until like you and I, like our age group got older, it would be like when we'd hear guys tell us about the 70s and we were like, I don't know anything about that shit, you know?
Right.
No way that was better than what we got now. The
older
you get, the
George
more
Schmidt.
No, like who the hell is Baron Mikkel Cicluna? Who is that?
Yeah. But now when you get older, that's when you start going back and looking at, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Number 373, another one of those generic wrestling names. The Spider, 6'3", 241, 7 years pro, has long starred in WWA, dangerous masked competitor, excels at technical wrestling, but can brawl if the situation demands it, was briefly in USWA with another Spider partner. You can guarantee that. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just wondering, is this one of the headbangers?
Well, okay, so here was what I was going to say about the Spider. It says 7 years pro here, but How much do you want to bet there's been more than one guy that's played the Spider? You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably.
So I don't know who the hell it would be at this point in '94.
But
I know
94. It might be Glenn Ruth or Chaz.
Maybe because they were the Spiders in USWA.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But let's see. 372. Doug Gibson, 6'2", 235 years pro. This Virginia native is the current MAWA championship. Defeated former WWF World Champion Ivan Koloff for the belt in June. Began his pro career at the age of 15.
Okay.
Doug Gibson.
Good for him.
Going back to Mark's joke earlier about Moof with mid east breath. This one's Mawa. It's the MAWA.
Yeah.
I'm the Mawa heavyweight champion.
Some people just did not think before they were, naming their organizations.
Yeah. To me, with something like that, you lean into it, Like, Come this Saturday and witness Mawa. Number 371 is Leatherface, 6'3", 289 years pro. Violent brawler, has regularly appeared in Japan, the Caribbean's WWC, and in Mexico. His style is not for those who didn't enjoy Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Corporal Kushner?
Yes, Leatherface is Corporal Kirshner.
I remember watching him versus Freddy Krueger stuff.
Yeah. From
Eddie. That would have been Eddie Gilbert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they do that shit in Wing or was it in Puerto Rico?
When it was Eddie, it was in Wing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I know Eddie brought him into ECW for a shot too.
Yeah. Because it was Wing when him and Doug ended up getting pissed off and shooting in the ring, and yeah. I forget which creature Doug was, but yeah.
Yeah, because they had obviously Leatherface. They had a Freddy Krueger. They had a Jason.
That shit just was outlandish.
If Doug wasn't Jason, he had a Michael Myers thing. I think one of them. But yeah, Corporal Kushner. He was a guy that it's when he was in WWE, or when you watch his WWF stuff, I'm just indifferent to him. You know what I mean? It's I don't hate him, I don't like him either. He's kind of there.
Yeah.
You're not Bob Slaughter, I know that much.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. He kind of fell into that thing because they brought him in around the time that fucking Vince and Slaughter got sideways about the G.I. Joe thing, and they didn't have Sarge anymore, but they still wanted to have that type of a character to feud with Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov and shit. So they brought Mike Kirshner in and just made him Corporal Kirshner to replace Sergeant Slaughter, and he was no replacement for Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to replace Sarge.
Yeah, when you get your Sergeant Slaughter from Temu.
Or Wish.
Yeah. Number 370 is the Tennessee Equalizer. A brawler with an insatiable bloodlust whose face is always painted. Tag team partner of Chick White as the Death Riders in the Volunteer State Independence. Knowledgeable in the ring. Don't know who this is.
That sounds kind of racist. Chick White, and he brought his Equalizer.
Yeah.
Also, two names that don't go together.
Right. At least Chick Donovan goes together. That just sounds like some flamboyance.
I'm just saying White. I'm just saying the Tennessee Equalizer and Chick White. What? Anyway.
Some white chick. What'd you say?
Yep. It would be fun. It'd be fun. That reminds me of when you look before the WWF stopped showing, because there's that period of time where they're still they've moved into the sports entertainment thing, but there's still like the remnants of Vince's dad's way of promoting and stuff. So that time where they're still on prime time showing just like Madison Square Garden cards, even though Superstars was like a completely different kind of show at that point. But you'll just see, and I'm getting to a point here, but you'll just see a guy, you'll see like a jobber team, but it's one guy has a gimmick and the other doesn't. It'll be like the team of Bob Johnson and Dr. X.
Stupid.
Number 369 is Brett Stryker, 6'1", 246, 3 years pro. The Nuclear Warhead is the inaugural New Age mid-heavyweight champion. Daredevil talent executes moonsaults and top rope Frankensteiners. Faced Sabu on a tour of the Orient. Well, good for him, but I don't know who he is.
He went to the Orient, and his claim to fame was he went against Sabu.
Yeah, and probably got like one move in, and Sabu just did a bunch of shit to him.
Right.
Well, I mean, what was his gimmick name?
The Nuclear Warhead.
I thought it was.
Now that would have went with the Tennessee Equalizer.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like that guy goes to Japan and makes himself like the nuclear bomb. That's some heat, I guess.
Yeah.
And you would have.
I'm here to take out Moria.
Originally from the United States, now from the center of Nagasaki. He's here to be your hero, Shima.
Hashtag Enola Gay.
He's from a project in Manhattan.
With his manager, Oppenheimer. All right. Number 368, Dan Childers, or Childers, I don't know. 6 foot, 200 pounds, 3 years pro. Showtime is a CWA fan favorite. Has wrestled extensively on the independent scene. Biggest win came in Danville, Kentucky in 1992 when he defeated the USWA's Brian Christopher. I don't know who this guy is either. Dan Childers or Childers.
I've heard the name.
He's been talking about beating Brian Christopher for 2 years now. It's like, shut the fuck up, Dan, or whatever your name is.
He's sexy now.
Shut up, Dan.
Obviously, only worked out for one of you. You beat him, and now he's got a contract.
Right. Number 367. Whew. At this point, he's old. SD Jones. 6'1", 240 pounds, 32-year pro. Among the friendliest men in wrestling. Watch out for his headbutts. Special Delivery has plenty of experience, has competed in WWF as well as IWCCW and the Universal Wrestling Superstars.
And it's funny that that's in his biography, because I was going to say that there's certain guys like that, like in wrestling, that when you hear them like cut promos or whatever, you're just like, in real life, you're like, I believe that guy is just a nice dude, and that's probably why he was around. That's why he was around. That's why he was around so long. You know, like Vince never got rid of him or anything.
Well, and one thing that's proof that he is if I don't know if you've ever watched any of Paul Roma's shoot interviews. Paul Roma is a bitter ass. Like, he don't like nobody.
Yeah.
He will shit on Flair. He will shit on Hogan. He will shit on whoever he want. He don't give a fuck. And they ask him about, like briefly teaming with SD Jones, and he was like, "We didn't get a big push, but I really like teaming with SD Jones. He's a good guy." Blah blah blah. Like, he had nothing bad to say about SD.
Yeah, he's just a nice dude. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, and I'm not even saying this because of like the same race or whatever, but it's kind of like R-Truth. Like, R-Truth's been around so long because it's like everybody likes the guy. He's friendly, so he's fun to have around. He's a nice dude.
Did you see his thing yesterday, Aaron?
didn't watch the pay-per-view I told you yet.
Oh, you didn't? I didn't know it was on his. It was on social media, but no, like he did this whole thing where he like showed up at the arena. He was like, there was nobody in the airport. There's nobody at the arena. Nobody's here at the show, and he was in Austria instead of Australia.
Our truth is a national treasure.
Yes, he is. Dom and
Funny
Nick
dude.
Mysterio. All right, 366. Silver King number 2, 5'9", 16 years pro. Native of Mexicali, Mexico, has teamed with Silver King 1, briefly in WCW. Intelligent mat veteran whose best hold is a figure 4. One of Mexico's most respected competitors. I like the Silver Kings.
Yeah, I like Silver King. I don't, and I mean, I think their briefly time in WCW was that tournament that Bill Watts did.
Yeah,
because aren't they the ones that Doc and Bam Bam beat up
yes.
when they said there's been an accident outside?
Yes.
Couple Mexicans done got ran over.
Yes, it is the Silver Kings that done got ran over. But yeah, I like the Silver Kings. And I like excuse me. I like them as both singles wrestlers and tag team wrestlers. So any comment on Silver King 2, Mark? We'll move on. Because the next 3 are all going to be people we can comment on that we know.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know the Silver King.
Okay. 365 is Lanny Poffo. 6 foot, 228 pounds, 20 years pro. The Genius isn't quite as successful as older brother Randy Savage, but has done okay. Skilled gymnast with a fluid style in European independence currently. 94. Yeah, he's out of the WWF for a couple of years at this point.
That's an understatement. He's not quite as successful as Randy Savage. Like, no, he's not at all as successful as Randy Savage.
I mean, but going back, like whenever I was younger, I would watch all them 8-man tags and stuff like that. And when he'd come out with like the Beverly Brothers and shit like that, I used to enjoy the Genius.
Oh no, I'm not knocking Lanny Poffo. I enjoy Poffo. I thought it was cool when he'd work for his dad's crazy ass company. He'd come out in like full like night attire and shit like that. But like, I'm gonna get in the battle royal and I'm gonna wear an entire coat of armor. It's fucking cool. And like I said, the Genius character was fun. He's an odd duck, or was an odd duck. He's dead now.
You know what one of my favorite stats about Lanny Poffo is?
What's that?
That some people that are younger now. I mean, I know the 3 of us are going to remember, but some people that are younger now might not remember. During the absolute positive, like 1983 to 1991, one of the hottest runs in pro wrestling of all time of Hulk Hogan. One of like the handful of guys that literally had a televised victory over Hulk Hogan was Lanny Poffo.
Yeah, like count out.
Yeah, he beat Hogan by count out, but he beat him. And guess who that never did? Mr. Perfect.
Yeah. Then they broke his belt. And yeah, it's good shit. He's just super weird. I remember like when the Benoit thing happened, like it was like Jericho, Poffo, and somebody else, maybe Mark Marrow, were on something, and they're all talking about it. And then Lanny just in the middle of everybody talking goes, "The children need to learn to read. We must teach the children to read."
Like, is this guy having a stroke?
And everybody was like, "All right."
Lanny,
okay,
Lanny, do you currently smell burnt toast?
Like, where did that come from? Anyway.
No, but like when he used to prance around the ring and flail his arms and shit, I used to like it was funny to me.
Oh no, great gimmick, great dude, and like a really good fucking wrestler. Like he was doing shit. He was doing shit like like when he first came in and he was like the babyface Genius, you know?
Yeah.
Like he was doing shit that people were doing in Japan and Mexico and everything. You know what I mean? Like he was fucking good. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I know a lot of people, the memories of him, especially as the manager, the Genius, are the Genius and Mr. Perfect. But I'm one of the few people that actually, and I like Genius and Perfect, but I actually like Genius as manager of the Beverly Brothers more.
Yeah, I agree. I for some reason that's what sticks out to me when I think Lanny Poffo is him managing the Beverly Brothers and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he just do off the wall shit like with Mr. Perfect was at the golf course or whatever to hit the hole in one, and then he was like, absolutely perfect. And then he just did a backflip.
Yes.
Like, why did you do that backflip?
And he did the backflip it like in the getup, like in his robe and shit.
Yeah. It's like absolutely perfect. And then he just hits a backflip. If I was just perfect, I'd be like, what the fuck was that? But anyway.
Oh, it's funny. All right. You know what? I don't know why. I just thought of something. Somehow, I think maybe, I don't know, just because we were shitting on Lou Perez so hard. I actually skipped 382. Just for the record, 382 was Buddy Landell. I don't think we ever even. I was just looking up and down here, and I'm like, I don't think I did. I was like, I don't think I mentioned Buddy Landell. But we were just so awesome. Hardcore. We were so hardcore ripping apart Al Perez that.
I like Buddy Landell. But
number 364 is one of those guys that, like, and I'll get to my point, but I think he was hurt by. He was actually hurt by his brother's existence, and I'll say why in a minute. It's Kendall Windham. 6'5", 220, 10 years pro. Younger brother of Barry Windham, is a decent competitor in his own right and wrestling in Florida Independence. I think the problem with Kendall, because Kendall was a good wrestler, but he looked so spindly compared to his brother and his dad and like the rest of his family. He just looked so.
He was.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it just he didn't exude that name like the other guys did.
I know, but that's the thing with them Wyndhams, because Barry was the same way. When Barry first started out, he was a fucking skinny little fucking swizzle stick, you know. But as he got older, he got bigger, and because that ended up happening to Kendall too. The problem was he just didn't get big enough physical wise until it was like, you know,
the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah, and a lot of the other funny thing is too, honestly, a lot of the time that he got bigger, like he was in the clink. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he went away for a little bit. So, I mean, by the time he got to WCW, I mean, it's like Kendall Windham's not going to be a main eventer, you know. Right. But he wasn't a bad worker, and
the guy that was basically my mentor for the independent wrestling. His son actually ran up and down the roads with Kendall and them.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad was telling me some stories, and I'm like, okay.
Getting into some shit on the road, huh?
Yeah.
I imagine.
That's putting it lightly.
Just don't borrow any money from him.
Oof. It might still be wet. Number 363. Excusez-moi. Number 363. He's a star on Reliving the Extreme. It's Sal Balomo, 5'10", 240, 17 years pro, unpredictable veteran, gradually recovering from serious injuries suffered last summer. Started in the WWF as Centurion Marcella, fan favorite, famed in ECW for tossing stuffed animals into the crowd. Those early days of ECW with Salvatore Balomo and the fucking
for the kids,
the helmet, and it's for the kids, and he's got the fucking furry boots.
And then it was the point where he didn't have the furry boots. Remember, he just had the giant boots.
Yeah, they look like rain boots, like big
like
gigantic rain boots.
It looked like those big shoes that Seth Rollins wore that one night on Raw. I was like, what is going on?
But Sal was entertaining as shit, though. I gotta,
In
We had a lot-
in ECW was WWE, WWF, man, he was boring. But I think it was the thing where it's kind of like what we said about SD, where he's just a nice guy. Let's just keep him around. Like, the most entertaining thing he ever did in the WWF to me was getting his ass kicked by Piper Orton and Wonderful. Like that, where he comes out, he's like, the junkyard dog is hurt. Because Piper's like, where is the junkyard dog? And he goes, the junkyard dog is hurt. He said, I asked you, where is the junkyard dog? The junkyard dog is hurt. He goes, I know he's hurt, you stupid wop. And then they kick the shit out of him. It's like, oh my God. But anyway, when he got to ECW, it was fun. WWF, it's like, dude, you're building a paper boat. Say, this is boring. Anyway.
He was a guy that was literally he was a guy that he's also that with the time where you're transitioning again from Vince Senior's era to Vince Junior's era. He was a guy that was popular in MSG, but nowhere else.
Yeah,
like the MSG crowd liked him. You know what I mean? The MSG crowd liked him. He was kind of a hometown boy or whatever. But
well, yeah, because in that time you didn't have to like cut like big promos. You just go out there, you have your.
They
match,
just knew he was in Italian like Bruno. Yeah.
Yeah. He would have never made it any further than what he did. And I'm not even knocking him, you know what I mean? I'm just saying his style, like the style of worker that he was and the way he talked, he would have never made it in the expansion era.
All right. So number 362 must be Cash's father, Flex Wheeler. 5'10", 250. 3 years pro, Eastern Independent star, now in CWA, WWA, top light heavyweight title contender, excellent acrobatic technical skills, recent acquisition of the Cash Money Boys, has turned rule breaker, native of Strong, Pennsylvania. I don't know him.
No, me either.
Cash
Money Boys.
Cash Money Boys.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
I think we talked about that stable in the last episode. Money, it's gas.
I thought they were coming out in Lil Wayne and shit.
That's what I'm saying. They sound like a 1999 fucking rap group that's not around anymore. Like they slam their name in the beginning of every one of their songs. Like, Cash Money Boys.
They're doing a reunion tour right now with the Funk Dubious guys.
Yeah.
The Funk Dubious guys and DOS Effects.
I like Funk Dubious though.
Yeah, me too. I'm not hating. I'm just saying you said like a group that like fell off or whatever. The tour is headlined by House of Pain because everybody knows Jump Around.
Yeah, or as we say, Onyx. Which is funny. We're not on this, but like I was like, I'm gonna read about Onyx. You know, you ever get on some random Wikipedia thing or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. Wikipedia wormholes are one of my favorite things.
I ended up reading about the rap group Onyx, and they became one of the most popular rap groups in Russia. Like Russian dudes love Onyx.
Slam! Dos Vidania! Dos Vidania!
I just thought about him being in their Nikolai Volkov hats doing those leg dances to slam. And I'm not knocking the leg dances because that shit's super impressive. Like I would kill myself if I did. I'd break my caucus. But yeah, I'm just thinking of him doing that to slam. It's fantastic. Just super drunk. Anyway.
Number 361, Mike Stone. 6'5", 315, 12 years pro veteran, has competed all over North America and in South Africa and won numerous regional titles. recently returned to Canada, won the River City Wrestling belt. Relentless will brawl with anybody. Mike Stone.
Basic ass dude. Basic
Yeah, he's definitely got a basic ass name.
Yeah, he didn't even try. Number 360, New Jack. 6 foot, 225, 2 years pro. Now one of Smoky Mountain's gangstas. West Coast native, has been part of the tag team champions in Georgia and the USWA. Not much talent, but learning and gaining experience. In 94, I think, is when New Jack hits the promo with Bob Caudle in the background, thanking OJ Simpson.
Yeah. 2 more down. Thank you, brother. And Bob Caudle. It's like, oh my God. There's a lot of Smoky Mountain moments where Bob Caudle's just stuck in it. It doesn't. You can tell does not want to be there.
He's like, this is not your pork chop cash type African American.
Yeah. Or like James Mitchell talked about how he did like a promo, like just like destroying religion and God and all this shit, and then like after it was over, they were like, Bob's like super religious, right?
And I'm sure James Mitchell was like,
no, James said he felt terrible because he respected Bob so much. And he's like, I wouldn't have, like, attacked everything he believed in if I knew he actually believed in it. But anyway, yeah, there's parts of Smoky Mountain where Bob just looks completely lost. Well, I was going to say in Smoky Mountain where he looks completely lost. There's times in his whole career, and he did it fantastic. I'm not knocking it,
Right.
But,
yeah, you know how much I love Bob Caudle, so you're not going to get.
I love me some.
You're not going to get
Caudle.
me to say anything bad about Bob Caudle.
Yeah.
Number 359, Brian.
We were supposed to talk. I was just saying we started talking about Bob Caudle, and it was New Jack. But yeah, this is just the beginning of New Jack, and he was never like promo wise never bad. Like he got in the business and was awesome that aspect of it. So
yeah. Number 359. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, he definitely known for being one of the most violent motherfuckers.
He's a guy that perfected the same thing that The Rock perfected. I'm not comparing them as far as box office goes, but I am a mediocre worker. But what the few things that I do actually do, I do very well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like Jarrett's walking brawl.
Yeah.
He definitely was good on the mic. He just knew how to draw heat a little cheaply too.
Yes. Well, and he also knew in Smoky Mountain, looking around at all these white hillbillies, he knew exactly what to say to get that heat.
Right.
359 is Brian Williams, 5'9", 221, 1 year pro. PWF rookie is quickly establishing himself, beat George South for the junior heavyweight title early in the year, already involved in ladder matches. Too much too soon?
Also, is this the same guy that did he retire and then become like a broadcaster?
No, it's not the news guy.
No.
It's like it's too much too soon because he's in ladder matches.
Right.
I thought that was a good thing.
358 is Giant Gonzalez. 7'7", 435, 4 years pro, tallest wrestler ever. Has lately spent more time acting on TV, Baywatch, Thunder in Paradise, than in the ring. Ex-Argentine basketball player, flopped in WCW and the WWF, recently in Japan.
I mean, I ain't got nothing bad to say about him. I mean, he wasn't athletic, but he was definitely a sight to see.
That's what I was going to say. He was an attraction. I mean, I don't know what people expected. Aren't they expecting to do Frankensteiners or something? But, and actually, he was one of those things where I don't know if it was Pat Patterson. I don't know if it was Vince McMahon. I don't know who it was. But the WWF's penchant for visuals was like, who are we going to make his manager? Oh, we got to make his manager Harvey Whippleman. Because Harvey Whippleman...
Little tidy guy.
Harvey Whippleman next to Giant Gonzalez shows you how absolutely insanely large Giant Gonzalez is.
Right.
And there was no way they were gonna. There was no way they were gonna have Bill Alfonso, even though Bill Alfonso was Giant Gonzalez's guy. There was no way somebody that looked like Bill Alfonso was gonna be cutting promos and shit on TV in the WWF.
Right. 357, Bastion Booger, 6 foot, 345 pounds, was initially disgusting in the WWF, then became merely ridiculous. Now in Midwest,
disgusting.
Now in Midwest Independence, obese brawler who'd rather sit down with a large pizza than get a title shot.
Fucking hate that guy.
Mike Shaw, baby.
He's everywhere he went, he sucked.
I don't know. Just the thing that sticks out the most about me is an 8-man tag with Bastion Booger. What was it? Him versus Men on a Mission and Doink.
Oh yeah, it was Booger. It was Booger, Bigelow, and the Head Shrinkers against the Doinks.
Yeah.
And it was like Men on a Mission, and the Bushwhackers dressed up as Doink.
Yeah.
Probably. Like what would you say that's like WWF low point?
Shit.
Actually, that's Mike Shaw high point.
That specific match is like the lowest low point of the WWF. I don't know. You can only go up from here.
Bam Bam and Fatu.
I was entertained.
Bam Bam and Fatu were probably just looking at each other like, "What the fuck are we doing?" Was it Barbarian by that? Was it Barbarian by that point, or was it still Samu?
94. No, yeah, it was Barb. Yeah, it was Barbarian.
Those three probably had to just be like, "What the fuck are we doing?" I mean, we're getting paid, but good lord. Working with the old put.
Am I right? Am I right? Was it the Head Shrinkers?
I believe so.
I think I'm
right. It was the Head Shrinkers, Bam Bam.
Probably was.
Mike Shaw, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But that
the only good thing
Bastion Booger, that's that immediately comes to mind for me.
The only good thing about Bastion Booger is that award that I gave Nate.
The what? I'm sorry, he broke up a minute.
I said the only good thing that ever come out of Bastion Booger is that present I gave you.
You gave him a present that came out of Bastion Booger.
No, I'm saying like the existence of Bastion Booger. I gave him it's like a I don't even know how you describe it.
Mark, it's one of those glass blocks that has that you can that they put an image into for you, and you can set it on like a little light stand,
like a dimensional image. Like if your dog dies, you could put the picture of the dog in the thing, and it's like a 3D image of your dog. You know what I'm talking about? I did one of those, and encased Bastion Booger in it.
May Mike Shaw watch over you.
Yeah, it sits on the shelf glowing at me. Every once in a while, I hear a fart or a burp in the distance. And speaking of farts, how about this? How about this popcorn fart? Number 356, Damian Demento. 6'2",
damn, they're really
3 years pro.
Out the middle here, aren't they?
Formerly of the WWF, now frequently appears on independent cards in the East and Midwest, has a good standing reverse neck breaker, excels at knee drops into the skull, young enough to bounce back. Sorry, hindsight, he didn't.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, it's like all the shit from like the beginning of Raw, like these guys.
With the exception of a few, up until now, you really had to have Imodium next to you watching any of these guys.
Damian Demento, man. Oof. I mean,
main event of the first Raw.
I was going to say, and I can understand that guy walking into Vince's office with that look. You know what I mean? He's a big motherfucker, had kind of a menacing look, and Vince probably saw, and then they put that on him. And I'm not giving him any credit at all, because I mean, there's been plenty of people in WWF that have been given shitty gimmicks and done the best with it and became stars anyway. We talked about Glenn Jacobs last week, but
right.
But yeah, I mean, I can see what they saw in him just visually, you know. But yeah, he was garbage in the ring.
Yeah, fuck him. Let him eat fish heads.
Oh, here we go, man. The hits keep coming here. 355 is Awesome Kong. 6'4", 440.
Oh God.
5 years pro. Wrestles in Texas Independence. Occasionally teams with Colossal Kong, his partner in WCW. Bulky, undisciplined. Was briefly USWA champ in 1991. One of the piggies. Awesome Kong.
I thought you
I was
loved
like
him,
these
man.
people. Like, how are they over like Buddy Landell and whatever?
Hell, how are they over Bastion Booger?
I'm even saying all these guys. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
this little section of the 500 is like they were like, let's just get all like the shit birds out of the way before we get to like 250. We'll just get rid of these fucking slugs.
how the fuck did they make it over Chick Donovan? Chick Donovan at least had in-ring talent.
Yeah. Didn't look like he didn't have side titty.
Right. Look like a fucking blowed out tire.
Number 3. Okay, so we had the Spider. 354 is Spider. This is Spider 2. 6'2", 250, 1 year pro. This is probably one of the headbangers because later on up here, whatever, spoiler alert, this is 30 years old. Later on down the line, we have a Spider 1 as well. So this guy's probably one of the headbangers. Spider 2, this masked man's main goal is to recapture the WWA tag title with his partner Spider 1. Excellent top rope Frankenstein. So yeah, that's probably, those spiders are probably the headbangers. I don't know who the Spider was, but now I sound like Jim Ross when he's like, I don't know if he's a warrior, the warrior.
The warrior. I had no idea.
I thought you were gonna say L Spider or some shit.
There's probably an L Spider on here too.
I watched the 96 Superstars the other day, and Lawler was doing the I'm hurt gimmick, you know, like with his knee. And he brings out the Royal Spider, and it's just Glenn Roos. Yeah, he's like, I'm hurt, so you're gonna be facing the Royal Spider. Yeah, it's just Glenn Roos. Anyway,
number 353. This is actually something they also called Lanny Poffo. Big D. 6 foot, 222.
He had a big old dick on him, apparently.
Big hog. He got a big hog. 6 foot.
Ask me about my wiener.
Was it Jericho said he could suck it himself or whatever? Lanny Poffo, the only guy that can suck his own dick.
Well, this wrestler
backflip. It makes that backflip even more impressive.
Yeah.
How did it
the weight distribution is so impressive.
Yeah. It's like I'm not worried about falling. I got my kickstand. Like might hold me up. Anyway, sorry.
This guy's wrestling name is Big D. 6 foot, 222, 3 years pro. Was the light heavyweight champion of the now defunct Big D Federation. Fan favorite, now seeks new challenges. Agile wrestlers should continue to excel, but may need to leave Dallas-Fort Worth. No, because then Big D has another meaning. He can only wrestle, and that name is Big D in Dallas.
wonder if his opponent was like, tonight I'm going through the Big D and don't mean Dallas.
But did you say the Big D Wrestling Federation?
Yeah, of the now defunct Big D Federation. That was probably one of those. That was probably
a bunch of ladies showed up and thought it was some kind of review, probably, and they were like, "Prove it!" And they're like,
we
"What?"
thought this was like the Thunder from Down Under.
Yeah. Instead, we got instead we got Big Cat and fucking
Awesome Kong.
Awesome Kong and Giant Gonzalez. What the fuck is killing?
They missed out on a great main event there, obviously. Big D versus Meat.
Yikes.
It's gonna be a sword fight. Come on down.
Number 352, hoping I don't slaughter this name, Masayoshi Motegi. He was the Wing Junior Heavyweight
champion. You got to clean it up.
Was the Wing Junior Heavyweight Champion before that promotion folded in Japan. Now in fledgling Social Pro Wrestling Federation, has ECW experience, disciplined and sound with superb aerial ability.
Can't say I've heard of him.
I can't remember. Is he the?
He might be one of those guys that when they brought him into ECW that we watched when the Wing guys were coming in, and then they just
that's what I'm thinking.
They just called him, like, instead of calling him Masayoshi Motegi, they just called him Mr. Yoshi or something, you know, just simple.
Masamogi Yakimi. Whatever his name is.
It's like he's just gonna get flattened by Sabu. There's no need to get his name right.
Yeah. Right.
Number 351. This is a name I'm familiar with. Don't know a lot about him, but I know the name. Austin Steele. 6 foot 233, 3 years pro, up and coming PWF competitor, thinks he's the true nature boy, feuding with the Italian Stallion while trying to regain the PWF tag belts with regular partner Terry Austin. Aggressive style with fine flying forearm. Again, one of those magazine names I remember, but I don't know a lot about Austin Steele.
Hold on, you just said he thinks he's the nature boy, so he thinks he's Ric Flair, and he's feuding with the Italian Stallion.
Yes.
So he's got beef with Rocky. I like where this is headed. It sounds right up one of Aaron's bad wrestling shows that he's going to make us watch. Sounds right up that alley.
I don't know anything about the guy.
Number 350 is Dino Hernandez. 5'11", 185, 6 years pro, high-flying wrestler who is comfortable with both American and Mexican mat styles, has never been hampered by his relatively small size, competes on both sides of the border. Dino Hernandez.
Is that like Gino's dyslexic cousin?
I was going to say he probably was at some point billed as Gino Hernandez's brother, because wrestling did that back then.
Well, I mean, at least he chose Gino and not Al Perez.
Right.
So they said he's tiny and can fit in a hamper? Is that what you said?
Has never been hampered by his relatively small size. Yeah, I think that's what they said.
Yeah, they've tried, but they can't get him in that hamper. It's been close.
Number 349. The Honky Tonk Man. 6'1", 256, 15 years pro. Still makes rounds of Southern Independence as Elvis impersonator lookalike. Still hated by fans. Had the longest tenure of any WWF Intercontinental Champion.
And took the fucking independent wrestling scene and fucking understood exactly. The old expression. He understood the assignment, man.
You know what?
Like, I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna sing my song twice, piss them people off. Then some kid's gonna come out. I'm gonna bump him, and then I'm gonna win, and then I'm gonna leave.
And you know what else I give him credit for? The other thing I give Honky Tonk credit for, and you mentioned about the independent thing, Honky Tonk Man saw the value in these conventions before these conventions became a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same way with the shoot interview.
Yeah.
But yeah, Honky knew what he was fucking doing. And he knew that was his gimmick. Because like he took that gimmick to the like people don't think about that too. Like he took that gimmick to the WWE.
Yep.
So
Right.
I mean, yeah, the dude understood the assignment. And everybody talks about how like, oh, he finally ended up buckling and going into the Hall of Fame. He didn't buckle. He knew he was done doing all that shit, and then when you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I
he
mean,
knew
if you
I
look at
don't
if
want
you
I
look
don't
at
want
his
to. He knew if he went to the Hall of Fame, they were going to be able to limit where he could go and what he could do. And he knew the minute he was done doing all that shit, now I'll go into the Hall of Fame and they'll still be cutting me a check. You know what I mean?
That's what I was going to say. He took a gimmick that should have been an undercard goofy gimmick, took it to heights, made it famous. So he did that. Then when he left the WWF, he mastered this independent wrestling thing. He went to WCW for a hot second. Eric Bischoff thought he was going to tell him what to do, and he told him to go fuck himself. Then he went back to the independent scene, probably made more money than he ever would have in WCW. And then he mastered the convention scene. And then, like you said, he found it to the point in his career where now he goes into the Hall of Fame. He gets a nice Legends deal, action figures. He can put HOF on his autographs now, so that makes them even more impressive. In other words, the Honky Tonk Man gets the fucking hustle.
Yep. God bless him.
The last time I talked to him, he was like, what did he say? He's because I forget where he said he was living at the time, maybe Evansville or something. He's like, because he said Indianapolis because he asked me where I was from, or he asked me if I was from Indiana because we were in Indiana. I said, well, I'm just across the border in Ohio. He said, yeah. I've been living here in Indiana in Evansville, and you know what? They were just the WWE. They were just in Indianapolis. Did they call a fucking Honky Tonk Man? No, they didn't call a motherfucker. He was just like, motherfuckers, didn't even give me a call.
Yeah, and like I said, I think like I said, I understood his gimmick, and and it might sound, you guys might disagree with me too, but I think he gets shit on sometimes as being a worker. Being like to me, being a worker doesn't always mean like you're fucking Bret Hart.
No. I hate
Chris
when
Benoit.
people use that word.
You understand your goddamn character and what that character would do in the ring.
I hate when people use the word worker to try to make it sound like that means that you are, like you said, like you're Bret Hart or Kurt Hennig or something. No, that's a style of worker. But Honky Tonk Man, Kurt Hennig, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, Ric Flair, they're all workers. They're just workers of a different style. And like you said,
right.
he got what his style was, and he worked it. And guess what? I don't think he ever got injured or injured anybody else.
No, he didn't. It's like he said, like he talked about Bret, and I love Bret Hart, but Bret Hart is his biggest fan,
Yeah.
And he talks about Honky Tonk Man and says Honky Tonk Man. He was like, they showed him this thing about Bret talking about Honky, and Honky's like watching this thing, and it's Bret, and he said Honky Tonk Man had the worst punches in the business. Punch like that couldn't even break a fucking egg. And then they go back to Honky Tonk Man, and he goes, "Hey Bret, who would you rather work with on a night-to-night basis? Me, whose punch can't even break an egg, or Goldberg, who kicked your fucking head off your goddamn shoulders and ended your career? Take your pick." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're bitching about me because I'm can't break a egg with my punch, but then you're bitching about this guy because he kicked your fucking head off. Like you gotta choose, buddy. Like yeah. And he was the first guy to work them fucking shoot guys, man.
Yep. Number 348. I don't think it's but it's Black Scorpion. 6'1", 247, 5 years pro, intense competitor, now feuding with Cruel Connection 2 over the PWF Intercontinental title. Many fans still know little about him. I just think it's funny. I just think it's funny that Cruel Connection 2 is still just wrestling. Like, just be Cruel Connection. Like,
but you're not even a connection.
Right.
There's only one of you. Like, either take your mask off or come up with another name.
On this thing, he's like, on this federation, it's Cruel Connection 2. Do you remember Virginia?
Yeah, it's like Cruel Connection 2. There's only one of you. It's kind of like Airheads. We're the Lone Rangers, but there's 3 of you.
Yes.
You can't be alone. It's like, there's one of you. You can't be 2 nor a connection. You fucking moron. And Black Scorpion, just take your mask off and let us know you're Lou's brother. This is fucking ridiculous.
You had your chance, asshole.
Yeah. Take it off.
He was on the previous one that we done too, right?
No, when we did the last one, 91, that was actually the Black Scorpion,
Black Scorpion.
Ric Flair Black Scorpion. This one is just some indie jerk off using the Black Scorpion name. 347 also has to do with Cruel Connection 2. It's Flaming Youth, 5'11", 233 years pro, still teaming with Cruel Connection 2 in the PWF.
God damn it.
Enthusiastic fan favorite. Keep an eye on him. This could be his year. I think it's funny. Flaming Youth and Cruel Connection 2.
Oh my God. Let's just move on.
Yeah. Flaming Youth. Maybe that was some future foresight shit.
346 is Mongolian Mauler, 6'2", 303, 10 years pro. Black-eyed protege of Abdullah the Butcher, was briefly in WCW under Colonel Robert Parker, then quickly left. A pure brawler who likes hurting people, often in Europe.
Hold on.
He did. Oh, go ahead, Nate. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Aaron.
I was just gonna say he was in WCW for a hot minute. He was in Smoky Mountain for a hot minute. He had a interesting look, but he just never stayed anywhere here very long. I don't know if maybe like the promoter saw the look and was like, "That's an interesting look," and then he got in the ring and they were like, "Hoofa" or what? But
the whole once the bell rings thing.
Yeah, like the black eyes and everything look cool, but yeah.
I mean, he said quickly left. I was going to say quickly left or quickly released.
A little bit of both. Let's see here. 345, Ned Brady, 6'2", 245, 6 years pro. The Nasty One ranks among the most dangerous wrestlers to ever appear on the Florida independent scene. Rule breaker turned fan favorite, now involved in a heated feud with the Cuban assassin. Ned Brady, Nasty Ned. I remember him as a jobber.
Ned.
Yeah.
Nasty Ned. Sounds like a pedophile.
Or a serial killer gimmick.
Side note, that's what they used to call Ned Beatty in Hollywood.
Nasty Ned.
What a freak.
Man, I don't know anything about Nasty Ned.
Like I said, I just remember seeing him job on TV, maybe WCW, like
probably.
But yeah, I remember him, but I don't remember him, if that makes sense.
What a shitty first name for a wrestler, Ned. Anyway.
Number 344. Sounds like a guy that you would either owe money to or would owe you money. Chi-Chi Cruz. Three-time West 4 Wrestling Alliance heavyweight champion, currently involved in major feuds with both Kerry Brown and Stan Saxon, proved himself against top-notch opposition throughout Canada. I don't know who he is, but I like his name.
He's a real big hit at the strip club.
I got none on Chi Cruz.
I actually paused. I was like, pause for Aaron to make a joke, maybe. But
I got nothing. I don't know.
Number 343 sounds like a drink. It's Moose Montana. 5'10", 275, 3 years pro. Known in CWA as the New Hampshire Nightmare. Former New England heavyweight champion, son of famed wrestler Bull Montana, who is also his manager, has a devastating DDT. I'm like, yeah, give me a Moose Montana.
I'm like, motherfucker. I thought I was gonna pay somebody to get me an Uber. I had me one too many of them Moose Montanas. Them motherfuckers sneak up on you. It's a heavy cream liqueur, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
A Moose Montana. It's like a heavy drunk. When you're done with it, you're like, oh.
It's the remix of a mudslide.
That's like, it's a heavy drink. One too many Moose Montanas. I'm gonna go off the road.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight? You can't even look at the cop and be proud if that's what you're drinking.
Yeah.
It's like, what'd you have to drink? Moose Montanas, and the cop.
I had 5 Moose Montanas. I'm gonna go home and take me a Chi Cruz.
I think that last one was curdled. Moose Montana gave me the bubble gut.
Damn it, man.
Yeah. All right. Number 342 is Morgus the Maniac. 6'3", 239, 4 years pro. Recently beat Nails for one of his biggest victories. Accompanied by doctor and nurse to the ring, has fallen out with numerous tag team partners over inability to comprehend the rules. I think that in the 91 PWI, he was number 500, if I remember correctly. Morgus the Maniac.
So Morgus is moving on up.
He beat Nails.
Really nailed that one.
341, Rick Connors. 6 foot 240, 31 years pro. Veteran of the Tennessee independent scene, has fought virtually everybody. Unparalleled rule-breaking skills, among the craftiest of wrestlers. Shares SWA tag title with partner Lone Star. Rick Connors is a guy that I don't know if I've probably seen him. Because he wrestled Memphis, he wrestled, his jobber as a jobber or whatever, but he was around Tennessee for fucking ever, man. He's probably wrestled Lawler, he probably wrestled Mantell, Dundee, just never became a big name nationally.
Did you say craftiest or crappiest?
Craftiest.
Okay.
Among the crappiest of wrestlers.
Just making sure I understood.
Just the fucking worst.
He's
like
we put him right here just so we could rib on him.
Yeah,
Connors is a fucking joke. Just a huge piece of shit.
No wrestling ability whatsoever.
Fucking asshole, basically.
Number 340 is, it's Rick Connor's tag team partner, Lone Star. 5'9", 235, 3 years pro. He and partner Rick Connors are current SWA tag team champions. From parts unknown, though we're tempted to believe he's from Texas. Masked, mean, calculating, and sinister. I love how they're like, they pointed out, like he's called Lone Star, but you say he's from parts unknown.
Yeah, because obviously he's got a tag partner. He's not alone.
Yeah. It's like from parts unknown, the Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah.
Wonder where that guy was created.
Unless you're the Lone Star that teamed with Barf. Nobody can. We know where you're from.
Number 339, Al Hardiman, 6'2", 235, 5 years pro. The Wild Fang is former Florida Wrestling Federation champ. That's how it's spelled. Extensive martial arts training.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Feuded with Lou Perez, Mondo Clean, and Hercules. Tag partner of Blackjack Mulligan.
Say his name again.
Al Hardiman.
You can't be like, hey, I'm Al Hardiman, the Wild Fang. Your name sounds like you go door to door selling like fucking irons. Or you're gonna do my fucking taxes, and he's like, I'm Wild Fang.
Wait till you see this refund.
Yeah. Number 338 is Kent Cole, 6'2", 235, 2 years pro. Keith's twin. Brothers now in the NWA and other independents after WCW stay fizzled. Best move is the drop kick. Fan of Dusty Rhodes in his youth. Could bounce back. He doesn't.
Yeah, the Cole twins.
Yes.
They're just generic as it gets, man. If white bread had feet, it'd be those fucking guys.
The best thing about the Cole twins was Jesse Ventura. Because he would interview them and he'd go, let me ask you something, Keith. And Keith would go, Mom can't. And Jesse would not play into their shit. Like, your normal commentator would be like, oh, I'm sorry. He'd be like, let me ask you something, Keith. And he'd be like, I'm Kent. And Jesse would be like, it doesn't matter. Kent. Like Jesse just like fucked with him. Like he just didn't give a fuck. He's like,
you both suck.
At that point, Jesse was like, this is fucking garbage. I hate it here anyway.
You both fucking suck. So it doesn't matter which one you are. I'm going to go take a nap now. I'll see you later.
I'm going to go take a nap in the same room Gordon Soley is also currently taking a nap. We're just going to nap.
They wouldn't even let them do the curtain jerk. They make them like match 2 or 3 when they needed to bring the crowd back down.
Yeah. Well, and they did do like, was it like super early 93 when WCW was so bad in 93 until like,
yeah, they tried
until they like fired it up at the end of the year. They were so anyway, they did like the thing with the Cole brothers and the Bruise brothers, the Battle of the Twins or whatever.
Yeah, they really tried hard with those fucking Cole twins, but it's like, yeah.
It's like nobody.
You're like the worst. You're like worst versions of like the dynamic dudes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. All right, number 337, Spider number 1, 6'3", 265 years pro. He and Spider 2 are the number 1 contenders to the WWA Tag Team title. 2-time former WWA champion, has also wrestled in the USWA and elsewhere.
I'm fixing to go get a can of Raid for all these goddamn spiders.
Right? Where's Arachnaman?
I think he's probably like 150. Maybe in the 2s. Where I think Brad Armstrong's going to be.
Number 336 is Billy Black. 6 foot, 237, 5 years pro. Often competes in Japan, frequently having Joel Deaton as partner. Former Georgia TV champion, employs an aerial style considered somewhat underrated, popular with Asian fans. I brought him up a few weeks ago on Reliving the Extreme. Well, I didn't bring him up. He was on the ECW show. But what I brought up to Aaron and Chad was, I remember at the time, this guy was like, he had promise. Like he was going to be, he was on Global when they were starting out and having their tournaments for their initial championships. He had a big run in Japan. They brought him into ECW for a second, and then he just kind of fizzled. I don't know if the guy ever said, fuck the business or what, but.
He was in Smoky Mountain for a little bit too. And it's funny because like you look at him and Deaton and you're like, if you look just as at a picture or that guy is standing in a ring and you don't see him work yet, you're thinking, you know, this guy's gonna be like a like a like a pound of ground type of guy, you know, not do anything type of worker, you know. But then when the bell hit, it's like they were like flying all over the goddamn
It's like
place and everything.
Jesus
It's like
Christ.
Jesus Christ, these little shit kickers can go. And I think if I remember right, Cornette talked about those guys. They just wouldn't if they weren't in Japan. They were like homesteaders. They just wanted to stay where they were at.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
And
too
they
bad because
probably
I liked the guy. I liked him. I like Bobby.
I
Philly
did too, and I think he was probably honestly a guy that realized like I look like what I look like, and I'm never gonna like make it into the. There comes a point where I think some wrestlers sometime realized I'm not gonna make it any further than what I am, so I gotta make money for my family, so
Mm-hmm.
I gotta work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he probably had kids and was like, I can't just keep driving all over the United States to make no money.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get a real job, and I think that's probably what it was.
Well, I know usually I say we're going to go 90 minutes and then we stop. But we're about to hit 3:35, and the end of this page of the magazine, for those of you that don't know what a magazine is in 2024, the end of this page is number 330. Would you two be all right for another 10 minutes to just get up to 330 to make it a nice round number?
Fantastic.
Okay. We won't take too much time. There's a couple fun names here, though. One is a fun name. I don't know who he is, but it's a fun name. And then the other one's a fun name that we can make fun of. But anyway, 335 is Jackie Fulton. 5'11", 225, 6 years pro. Bobby's younger brother is now his tag teammate. Slightly taller, heavier, and stronger than Bobby, but doesn't have his ring savvy. Frequently competes in Southern Independence. Jackie Fulton, Bobby Fulton teaming up as the Fantastics.
I didn't mind Jackie. He was nowhere near a replacement for Tommy Rogers, obviously. But nothing wrong with Jackie.
Anything on Jackie Fulton there, Mark?
I recently discovered him whenever they let out the last product of Leaf, the Heroes of Wrestling. He was actually one of the autographs that was live.
Okay.
They had him and his brother. So I mean, other than that, I really didn't hear that much about him. I mean, I know who Bobby was, but I didn't know about Jackie.
Yeah, there was a period of time where the Fantastics weren't wrestling in the same area, Continental, I think, at one point, and then I don't know. Anyway, maybe actually Smoky Mountain, right, Aaron?
What was it? Sorry.
Wasn't Jackie with his brother in Smoky Mountain as the Fantastics?
Yeah, they feuded with Robert Parker and or Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden, and then they also were in the infamous high school brawl with the Blondes.
Yes.
Or yes. Heavenly Bodies. Sorry, I don't know why I said Blondes. But the Heavenly Bodies were like they busted out the window of the car and all that. And then they did a cool thing where they fight because Tommy was working in Japan. Like that's where he was at. And then they did a cool thing where they actually got Tommy to come back. So it was like all the Fantastics triple team, you know, like it was Bobby, Jackie, and Tommy. It was good shit. But yeah, like I said, I obviously Jackie and Bobby weren't as good as Bobby and Tommy, but it was all right.
334 is the guy I never heard of. So we'll move past him, but it's Danny Vogus, 6'5", 265, 16 years pro, tag team partner of countryman Danny Britz, trained by the famed Jan Wilkins. has wrestled around the world, including Puerto Rico's WWC, noted for his toughness. I don't know who he is, so we'll just move on.
I don't know any of those people. And if your name,
it almost sounds it has to be a European thing.
Bogus sounds bogus to me.
Number 333, Ken Patera, 6'1", 256, 21 years pro. Former U.S. Olympic weightlifter, held the WWF Intercontinental title for 7.5 months in 1980, was part of 2 AWA Tag Team Champions in the twilight of his distinguished career.
Goddamn funny motherfucker, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ken Patera's like, this motherfucker. Ken Patera don't give a fuck.
No, it's kind of like what I said about Oli, where it's like you can't be an asshole and not be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can be an asshole and be funny. It's kind of like Ken's like that. It's like, I'm cool with you being a prick because it's funny. Oh, he's so fucking funny.
And by 94, obviously, he's kind of a, whatever. He's probably just wrestling independence or whatever here and there.
Oh, yeah, he's doing that shit. Like, this would have been the same time of that DVD. It's like technically the highest selling DVD of all time because it was in every fucking gas station. It was only like $2.
Yeah.
The one where it was like what was it? Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik, and
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Slam Masters of Wrestling or whatever it was called. Yeah, that's this group. That's what they're doing. Yeah, I just love listening to that guy fucking talk, man.
Number 332.
You want to hear? I'm just saying, you want to hear some funny off the wall, like quasi racist shit. Listen to fucking Ken Patera.
332 is Dan Severn, 6'2", 265, 2 years pro, world-class amateur wrestler, finally making successful transition to the professional game. Michigan native has a Pan Am Games Michigan native had a Pan Am Games gold medal, respected in Japan, Midwest independents. Dan Severn, actually, let me see. It was, I think, either yesterday or the day before. It was literally 30 years ago when he beat Chris Candido for the NWA championship.
And he's a guy that, like, when I look at him, it's like, I'm kind of afraid of you.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm afraid of you. Like, even when we saw him at that convention and he was as old as he was or whatever, and he seemed like he was having a ball, and he was like one of those guys that goes around and works the room and talks to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at him, I'm like, you're fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that guy could take my arm out of the socket just by looking at me.
Yeah, and when you hear him talk, he's just like, "Hey, y'all, how you doing?" Like, "Oh, geez, it's a good time."
He's
like,
one of those
talking like that.
He's one of those guys that proves the theory that usually the baddest ass motherfucker in the room is not the loudest ass motherfucker in the room.
Because I don't have to be. Because everybody knows I could kill every single person.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm only gonna show you if you make me.
And that's, to be honest with you,
kind of like Haku,
Yeah,
Haku's not gonna do it unless he's got to.
And I was just gonna say, as far as box office pro wrestling success goes, Dan Severn came around at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Oh, in the 80s, he would have been huge.
Yes, because in when he came around in the 90s, and we're just on the threshold of like the Monday Night Wars and the Attitude Era and the promotions trying to top each other every week and everything, still fantastic wrestler, obviously, ground and pound, amazing athlete. He just didn't have that charisma to keep up in that environment,
And if you would have brought if you would have brought out the Jim Cornette, Dan Severn act in like 87 in like the NWA,
Yeah.
I would've been
Imagine
huge.
Dan Severn and Dr. Death.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would have been huge. You just wrong
Or
place, wrong
I feel
time. And he
I
had the
feel
wrong
like
guy. He had the wrong. Oh, sorry, Mark.
I feel like if they would have just had him and Shamrock come in and just wreck motherfuckers together, that would have been a really good tag team.
I agree.
He also had the wrong main creative guy booking for him too.
Yeah. Yeah, Russo's not good at booking a legitimate athlete.
Yeah, like he said that he wanted him to do like he wanted him to get the like 666 or whatever, like have like a tattoo on his, like not a real one obviously,
Right.
but like a gimmick tattoo on his head, like on his forehead, is like the mark of the beast.
Ugh.
Dan Severn was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like, I'm doing that.
I'll knock you the fuck out, buddy.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they wanted Ken Shamrock to sleep, they come out and say he's fucking his sister. Ken Shamrock was like, "Fuck you, not doing that." Yeah, it's like you got
No-
two of the baddest ass son bitches on the planet, and you want to mark of the beast, and we're gonna have you bang your sister. And they were both like, "Fuck you."
331. This was the name. I was like, I got to read this name. Number 331 is Boy Gone Bad.
Ew.
6'1", 267. Looking
Keep him
to
away from Nasty Ned.
looking to regain the WWA strap from Friendly Frank Finnegan. He's managed by Tricky Nicky.
Ew.
He's a 5-time WWA champion. Yeah.
Friendly Phil made the boy go bad.
Friendly Frank and Tricky Nicky made the boy go bad.
Tricky Nicky turned him out.
Gross. All you need to do is add that fucking bike guy from goddamn Different Strokes. Gordon Junk's character.
A few Moose Montanas, and we got a bad situation here. And this will be the last one we do this week. Number 330 is, everybody knows this guy, the Metal Maniac. 6'2", 268, 3 years pro, has wrestled all over the world, including Japan, Singapore, and the U.S. independents. Famed for his bear hug and flying elbow smash. Wears war paint to psych out opponents. And I'm going to add my own thing here. Gets bookings because he carries Jimmy Snuka's bags.
Drove around. Fucking, they said he stood in line to get fucking Jimmy Snuka's autograph, like at a show that he worked on. Everybody's like, really? That's how he met him. It's like, oh, I want to get Jimmy Snuka's autograph, and he like went and stood in line. What the fuck are you doing? And he was no good. Like, just no good.
And that DVD that you mentioned, he's on it wrestling Jimmy Snuka.
Oh, I know he is. Because he drove Jimmy Snuka there. Because Jimmy Snuka couldn't drive because he couldn't read. Like he didn't know the sign. Like couldn't read the signs and shit. And where to turn and what to do. He sucked. This Maniac sucked.
Jimmy Snuka understand different type of Morse code. If it wasn't bumps of cocaine, he couldn't read it.
Like,
brother, I only know kilos, brother.
Like, there's an episode of a Superstars or whatever where Jimmy Snuka, like, Honky Tonk Man's cutting a promo on the stage or whatever, and Jimmy Snuka comes out and interrupts it, and he's yelling at him, and Bobby's mad about it, and he's yelling at Honky Tonk Man, and Bobby's on commentary, and he interrupts the Honky Tonk Man, and Bobby Heenan goes, "Ugh, illiterate tree monkey," and I just laughed at it. I was like, "Oh, that's funny. Bobby's working or whatever." But then when I found out Jimmy Snuka actually couldn't read, I'm like, "Man, that joke hits even harder." Bobby's talking a little bit of truth. But yeah, fucking Metal Maniac. He just got it because he drove Snuka around. And I don't ever remember Metal Maniac doing anything that I ever thought was good.
No, he didn't. I'm not going to argue with you there.
He gonna be on your Hall of Shame induction list?
Maybe. And if you don't know about him, or if you don't know anything about the Metal Maniac, just out there, just take the Italian stallion, put some face paint on him, and remove any shred of talent. That's the Metal Maniac.
Well, that's where we're going to wrap up for this week. Before we leave you all, we'll pick up next week with number 329 in the 1994 PWI 500. Mark, why don't you tell everybody about your venture that you are currently on, business-wise?
I do card breaks on Whatnot under the channel All Sports Breaks. And here lately, I have been designing custom trading cards for independent talent. Currently, design some for Hollywood Haley J and stuff like that. So, any of your graphic needs or any of your card needs, I can facilitate.
And just let people know how they can get a hold of you for that.
You can find me on Facebook at Mark Brew. You can find me on Instagram at Mr_Ice_Cold_Brew. Or you can hit me up on Whatnot on All Sports Breaks. And it's all one word.
All right. It's exciting stuff, brother.
Yeah. I haven't done anything of significance since 2019, probably.
Don't be a Metal Maniac.
I'm just a fucking loser. You can find me at the bus stop.
You're a superstar here, though. Damn it! What is our wrestling organization called? It's got to sound something better than what we heard earlier, Nate.
Yes, it is the WNR Podcast Network. And anybody that's listening to this show probably already knows that and knows where we are. But if you don't, if you're just listening to the show, if you found us on Apple or what have you, you can check out the WNR Podcast Network on Facebook. We have a page where I really just post the episodes of the shows for consumption. And then we also have a Facebook group that you can join. It is a private group. But if you ask to join, and I can obviously see that you are not a bot, I will accept you into the group. And again, it's just the WNR Podcast Network on Facebook. Right now, I'm doing a tournament. We do all kind of shit on there. We post conversations. I'm doing a tournament right now, where you can pick who's going to win certain matches in this tournament that I'm going through, and all the guys involved post our thoughts on pay-per-views or whatever we're watching at the time. If I'm sitting here at midnight just watching old wrestling, I might see something funny and just post it up on the group for people to kind of have a conversation. So you can join us on the socials that way. To be honest with you, I'm 45. My social media kind of extends to Facebook. I have a Twitter, but I don't ever tweet or X or whatever. I just read tweets. I don't know that I've ever tweeted. I have a Twitter,
but I don't know how to tweet.
I know how to tweet. I just don't. Plus, Twitter's like the most toxic fucking place in the planet. You think Facebook is bad? Twitter is where the goddamn. It's so
no.
Toxic.
Aaron would thrive there.
Yeah, actually, you know what? You're right. Yes.
I don't know how to do it.
It's literally no different. It's literally no different than posting on Facebook.
Well, if you could learn to tweet your Twitter, Aaron, we might have another source of revenue for you.
Yeah.
I need to find somebody to tweet for me. I say it and you just type it. That's what I need.
Anyway, we're going to sign off. I want to thank everybody for joining us this week, and we'll be back again next week. And I want that person to be a midget. I would like to pay a midget to tweet for me.
Why?
Are you
Because
allowed
then
to
if
say
it's not
midget?
successful, you can blame it on their shortcomings.
Yeah, it has to be. Plus, your posts on Twitter have to be a certain under a certain amount of characters, so that would work for a midget.
And his name will be Francisco.
Francisco Le Midget.
Yeah, Francisco the midget is gonna tweet for me. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying we'll be back next week with more of the PWI 500 from 1994, and I'm pretty sure Archie will be back next week. We hope Archie's having fun tonight at his extravagant gala that he went to. So, Archie, have fun. Everybody out there listening, have fun with your week, and we will see you next time around for more of the PWI 500 here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Have a great weekend.
Congratulations to Aaron for winning the
It was an old country
buffet.
buffet.